talked in the last episode about leadership. I call it the Dr. Glen show because this is your passion. And if you missed the last episode, go and watch it because it's really a continuation of the last episode around, first of all, why you're so passionate about leaders and why we looked at it, but also we're still on the start-stop method, the start-stop concept of growth and growth from a leadership standpoint. And last episode we talked about what to stop. What are leaders to stop? And of course, we could have gone on.
Yeah.
We could have gone on because even now, at the end of that, I was like, boy, now that my brain now is working, I can definitely come up with some more stops. But if you had a perfect world, and there are so many types of leaders. There is so many types of leaders. There's so many qualities that leaders possess. And that's what makes them unique. If you had a perfect world and you had an opportunity to speak to all the leaders you want to speak to, what would you tell them that they need to start in order to grow? Talk to me.
Okay, so in terms of what is one of the key things, and we've seen it a lot, where leaders come and go and whatever it is that they've built, go with them. And so one of the things that leaders need to start doing is duplicating themselves.
Yeah.
Or having somebody who that they would have mentored or a successor.
That is so sad.
To carry on the legacy.
That is so, the minute you said that, my mind went to at least two places. And this is recent where the leader passed on, God forbid, and the organization business closed. And these are not just fly-by-night organizations. These are organizations that's been around. And so, yes, duplicate yourself, find your successor. Yeah. Why do you think people don't do? I guess it goes back to what we talked about last time. It goes back
to some of the things that we talk about, stop doing. When you make it about you, it's by default. It's not about anybody else. And so you're not in that frame of mind, or your mindset is not that I want to make sure that somebody else got this.
And is it that, because I'm asking this now from a point of view of an organization that's on my mind. And I don't want to call the organization, but it was.
No, let's not.
I can't even give the hint.
Yeah, no, we don't
I want you to get the context.
No, let's talk about the organization and the story.
Let me ask the question because you can say, okay, find your successor, duplicate yourself. But if this organization or this leader did that, would the organization still have survived? And that's really my question. You think that was the only thing, or that was critical?
Not speaking to any specific organization, just in general. When you create that succession plan, even without going to the extreme of saying the organization die because that person died. When we look at different elements, we talked about that last time. You're helping people to come up to the next level.
Yeah.
And also you're preparing them to help to carry on the vision of that organization and the legacy of that organization. And so when you create that successor, it also helps you as the leader to not have to do everything.
Right.
I've been in a situation where I'm working at the university, and I could call the University of the Bahamas, working at the University of the Bahamas. My previous leader, President Daniel Thompson, he mentored me. And he was preparing me to be in line for when he would have left the position of chairman of the School of Business. Mind you, I was kicking and screaming saying I didn't want it. But guess what? I had the preparation because he gave me the knowledge. He took me to meetings. He told me about some of the ins and outs of academia. And so while I was not interested in the position, I still had the knowledge.
Right.
And so when I come around and was interested, I had the knowledge. So you can imagine, let's say he didn't prepare me. He didn't mentor me. He didn't give me all that knowledge, that information. And I come around and I want that position now. I would have to start from ground zero. Like all of my other colleagues who got chairmanship around the time I got it, they started from ground zero.
So how many successes and how many times should a leader duplicate themselves? Because the real question is, okay, using your example, Dr. Thompson mentored you.
Yes.
And what if you did not want it and you decided you're doing something completely different? Then all of that mentorship work still went down the drain. And the purpose of that duplication or that mentorship was for naught, because now someone else is in a position, or the position can no longer proceed.
So you don't want to just focus on any one person. It all depends on the size of the organization. So you want to mentor a team of people.
Okay. I get no time for that.
And so once you mentor a team of people, and a team could be 2-3 persons, so it means that you have options.
So I said I don't have any time for that, but what would you say to a leader who's that's their response? Like, I try to keep the building from burning. I'm trying to steer the ship. I'm trying to do all of these things. I may want to mentor. I may want to duplicate myself, all of this stuff, but I really don't have that amount of hours in a day. And I'm trying to just keep the team together. Mentorship, that's
So
out
we
of my
still
scope.
going back to previous episode where we talked about you making it about you. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time.
Got it.
So you have to make that time in order to
Wow.
be able to help people.
See why?
And sometimes you think this time
myself?
it is 3, 5, 4 hours of your day. You could sit with the person for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
So
give
it's
them
attention.
assignments to do that will get them to think.
Okay.
So it's more of a mindset as opposed to the time. Because once something is a priority, and you make it a part of your lifestyle or your schedule, you're gonna find the time.
And that's what I think it is more than anything. It's the priorities.
Yeah.
Right? And there are people who are they're leaders who are more people oriented than others. We've had this conversation about, you are more people oriented. I am more results oriented.
I am.
Yeah, you're more people oriented. I am also more results oriented, and we need both.
And and that's why we work so well together. We balance.
I want the results.
Yeah.
I know I may need to get that results to people, but I am so focused on the results that I sometimes forget that the person is there as well.
And you need the people for the results.
And you
How
need
you going to
the
get the
people for the
same result
results.
that you're so passionate about?
Yeah. You can get it, you just can get it in a different way.
No, you can get it by trying to be the one-man gang.
Yeah.
Or you can get it by having to keep getting employees or getting staff in, because people leave constantly because you.
So it's possible, but it depending on the type of leader, it takes work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then for some people, it may just come naturally. Just again, like I say, it may just be a mindset. You don't always have to be the one to do all the teaching. You could have people who you have already taught to teach somebody else.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you can have resources that you send them to, because sometimes mentorship is not so much always about you
finding the time.
Finding the time. You know where the resources are. You know what to tell people and how to direct them. You know where the information is that they need. But sometimes you hoard the information, and so only you one could have access to.
So in essence, there is really no excuse.
No, it's a mindset.
And so if a leader is watching and they have not found the time to duplicate themselves, to find their successor, to mentor, that's something that that's an indictment almost.
So a good thing for that leader to do is ask themselves some what if question. What if I'm not here? How would this get done? What if I have to leave and travel for X amount of weeks? What if I die today or tomorrow? Would my business die? And so if you could answer those questions, and they're saying that it dies with you, then the signs are telling you that you need to prepare successors.
And they're sobering questions.
Yes.
They definitely are. All right, I could definitely dive deeper into that lesson, but what is point number 2? So what do we want? What else do we want leaders to start doing?
We talked in the last session about not making it about you. You now have to make it about people. You now have to make it about people. And somebody may say, oh, well, we just talk about preparing a successor. It's still different from making it about people. Because not everybody in your team is going to be part of the successor.
Yeah.
Right? But other persons still need to be prepared. And so the Your successes are going to come out as a result of you preparing your people as a whole mentally.
And I guess when you say making it about people, it's getting to know them outside of the task,
just
the
doing the task.
results.
Yes. And even within the task, what are some of their strengths and weaknesses? You want to give somebody a task that is not a part of their strength, a part of their fit. And then you're hammering them down because that's not their strength.
Yeah. And also getting to appreciate who they are outside of the job, outside of the role, because it may not be just a job and anything. Who can you say that you know your team outside of what they do for work? That's a huge one. And I think, if leaders were to ask themselves that, that'll maybe separate a lot of types of leaders. Because again, it takes time.
Yes, because in knowing the individuals or knowing your team, there are going to be some, and I always say this when I talk to my employees or when I teach, it's easy to say, don't bring your problems to work with you. Leave them at the door when you come and pick them up when you're going out. It's easy to say that. But you could imagine my one and only son is sick, right?
Yeah.
And have to go to the hospital, the clinic, or whatever it is. You think I'm going to be functioning well mentally at work? I can still go.
Right.
I may even send somebody else. His mom may even go. But I still know that my sick child is out there and that affected me. And so people don't really, the things that value them the most, you don't just drop them at the door. Yeah. And so you want to be able to empathize with people and work with people to deal with the things that they're concerned about also.
And I have to drop this in there because it goes back to recognizing what is important to me or to that employee, whether it's important to you or not. Because we shared the story, and I think I can share the story about the leader who got a call from their employee and say, I can't come in today because my dog had puppies.
Yes.
If that was me, I'm like,
no, tell me what your response was and I'll share what my response was. When you heard the story, what was your response?
First of all, why are you calling me to tell me your dog? This was the normal response. Right. Like, why are you calling me to tell me your dog had puppies when I need you to work and you get paid? To me, there was no equal. There was no equal there. Like you telling me you can't come into work because your dog had puppies.
Okay.
But your job, your work is your livelihood. And so, and I get where we're going because this is the point, but the question is like, what point is there this line where you say, okay, you know what, yes, I can be open to the needs and all, and I want to hear your response. I want it to be said on air. But is there a line that you cross or that you shouldn't cross as an employee? Because employees could take that for granted as well.
All right, so my leadership heart kick in the minute I heard that. My HR role kick in the minute I hear that. I wanted to know more, right? As to why this person felt like they were so comfortable to share that my dog had puppies and I can't come to work. In delving deeper, I understand that it was no knowledge that this person is rearing dogs as a side hustle or for additional income, all right? And so if you know anything about, but I don't know much about rearing dogs, but people take their dogs seriously.
Yeah.
Some people don't have kids and they have dogs. And so if that dog is that significant to that individual and I know you as my employee, I will know that was something detrimental and critical to you and that was important.
Yes. And the results that I needed was also important on the job.
But I could have called in and said I was sick, I had a headache, I had a stomachache, I had or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So I could have given a different reason for why I'm not coming in. And I still would not be in.
Right.
But the fact that you were able to say to me that my dogs had puppy, one said that there was a relationship there that you're comfortable to tell your employer that your dog had puppy. By me digging deeper, I understood that this was known fact that this person rear and breed dogs. A litter, a puppy could be what? Anywhere from what? 15, 2,000, 3,000? I don't know. So if those puppies die within that process or whatever it is, That's my investment going out the door. And so me as an employer that's in touch with my employee, I would rather the person tell me they stay home because their dog had
So
puppy.
you'd rather the truth.
Yes, than to tell me they stay home because they had a headache and really don't have a
That
headache
is
and just
such a,
back at work.
that is such
know?
that's a thin line, I
Yeah.
think. That's a very thin line.
Yeah. And if you know your employee, you would have known enough information to say, you know what, that's
Yeah.
justifiable.
Yeah. Boy, I hear you.
All right, in a scenario where a person who has a dog at home as their safety protection or whatever it is, they don't have kids.
Right.
All right, to say, well, my child is sick and I go on to my dog is sick, shouldn't I take my dog to the vet? And so where does the line draw?
Yeah.
Who's to say which is a plausible
And I guess that's
excuse?
the question because, when we talk about, getting to know your employees,
Yeah.
right? As a leader, that is an important part
Yes.
of employees' team.
Yeah, your team.
There, I think I could hear leaders have some challenge with that because it now opens you up. The question, I guess, is when is a leader too soft? I get to know my employees, and all of my employees got stuff going on out of work, outside of work, and all of my employees got these things going on. My employees got podcasts, my employees got this, my employees got that, and my employee, and so they all come to me because I've made that culture known that yes, I want to get to know you. I'm interested in who you are outside of work. And I do believe that supports a greater culture on a team culture. But at what point does the leader become too soft and now it's being taken advantage of and the work doesn't get done? And I guess that's what's in my mind as a result-oriented leader.
And again, I think it comes back to the management side of it because as a leader, you still have to have that ability to manage people and manage resources. I remember working in a financial institution and running a branch, and around 3 p.m., everybody wanted to go pick their kids up from school at 3 p.m.
Right.
So you will find out that you have 4 and 5 persons leaving the branch at the same time, want to leave the branch at the same time, which will create a bottleneck for, especially it's 3 p.m. Period. And so
because people come into the bank at 3 p.m. on their break.
And my bank didn't close until 4:30.
Right.
Or 4 o'clock. And so we're still within banking hours. Again, softness would say everybody go at 3. Right? But the manager would say, you know what, we cannot all go at 3. Let's find out who are the older kids who can stay in the schoolyard a little bit longer and stagnate it. Who are the young kids that you need to pick up at a specific time, and we stagger it. So one person will leave at 3, one person will leave at 3:30, one person will leave at 4, and so you don't have everybody leaving at 3.
Okay, so then that's where the management side of it,
and that's where in the employee side come in too. Because if I know you have a student in high school, a student could linger in the schoolyard till 3-4 o'clock. My son could linger in the schoolyard.
Thomas is in the yard till 4 o'clock?
He never used to stay in the yard till 4 o'clock because it was only him one, and he had 2 parents that balance that flexibility. Some people are single parents.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And eventually when he started to do exam, he was able to linger around in the yard. So the point of the matter is, again, as the manager and as the leader, if you know the employees, you can say, you know what? Your son is a bit older, your daughter is a bit older. Can you pick her up at 3:30 instead of having to leave at 3?
Right.
And so by you staggering it, people still get that opportunity as opposed to feel. I had a manager who said, nobody pick up nobody at 3 o'clock. You're going to have to make arrangement for your child to get pick up because you're on the bank hours and it's causing a problem. And I can't if I let one go, the next person will be mad. So nobody goes at 3. And so you have to make your own arrangement outside of the bank. So it comes back again to knowing the
that's
employees.
the other extreme.
Oh yeah. It's like nobody goes at 3. Because if I let Keisha go, then Glen gonna get mad.
Let me lead myself and let me lead some computers and some systems and some projects where I don't have to be deciding all of that. And be good. That's why I say I like that stuff.
Now you see why I'm so passionate about leadership. And then it comes again over the years of dealing with people and various scenarios. You get to adjust, and it's not easy. It comes with time and experience.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
passion.
it comes with time and experience and wanting to do it. You know.
Yeah. I love it. And I say, let me lead myself, but I do also recognize that, you know, the Bible says without vision, the people perish. And I always add, without people, the vision perish.
Yes.
So, I still have my ways of going, a growth, this is a growth show when it comes to leading people. And I'll be the first to admit it. Like, I prefer not to, but I know in order to grow, in order to grow my business, in order to grow my organization, in order to grow my vision, we need people.
Yes.
We need people. And so as a leader, wherever you find yourself on that leadership scale, meaning, you are good like Glen, you're passionate, you get excited about leading people, or versus, you little struggly, you have some struggles with wanting or needing or leading people well. If you have a vision, if you have an organization, if you have a business, we know that we cannot run from it. And that's the thing.
And a part of the biggest fear of leading people is dealing with conflict.
Yeah.
Usually, a lot of people don't like. A lot of conflict come with dealing with different personality, and people really don't want
conflict, drama, demands. It's all the stuff.
Yeah.
Energies.
And then it comes back to your personality. Because if you have a personality that don't like to deal with conflict, then you're going to shy away from it.
Correct.
But I'm going to lean into it because
I prefer partners than team, and that's kind of always how I looked at it. All right, Mr. Davis. I think we ran out of time.
We have one more point that we can talk. Yeah, we talk about it. We have 2 minutes and we can talk about it.
So you tell us the last point then.
So the last point is, and this is critical, that's why I just didn't want to end the show without discussing this. It's modeling the behaviors that we expect in others. As a leader, modeling the behavior that we expect from people. So you want your followers to be committed. You want your followers to be consistent. You want your followers to do all these things, but they don't see it in you.
Right.
All right, so you tell them what you want in them, but you don't demonstrate it.
Got it.
And a lot of times we learn by seeing what you do, because your mouth and your lips could be saying one thing, but that action ain't lining up with it. People go by what they see.
Yeah.
You could tell them all you want, tell them, oh, I need you to do this, and we value this here, and this, but they don't see those same values in you.
Do you have a story?
Do I have a story? I always have a story, but for the interest of time.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah. I know. We want to.
I have a brief story. Again, working in the financial services industry, I remember being the teller supervisor or one of the manager of customer service, whatever it was, my role at the time. I was a leader at the time, and a customer came in the branch and urinated in the front of the teller, and everybody broke off running because this urine was so rank, so high, right? And they broke off running. And I came out, I said, well, why all my people's running? I have customers to be served. The bank was not full at the time. We had a few persons in there, and they said, well, Mr. Davis P in the front of the teller wicket, and it rank everything. And so I went in the back, I grabbed a bucket and a mop, and I went out in the front there, and I mop it up. In my mind, what is going on here? If one of my other customers come and slip in that, right? The least thing I worry about is the smell, is that somebody's going to sue the organization for an accident.
And you thought about all
that. And I thought about all that, and I said, no, this needs to be cleaned up. And plus, it's a presentation for my other customers. My other customers shouldn't walk in and smell the pea scent because one customer urinated.
But you felt you had to do that.
Because everybody else run. Right? And I couldn't, that's not a part of the teller's job, so I couldn't very well tell them, oh no, you need to mop that up. And they know janitors in there during the day. They come after hours. And so I mop it up, wring it out with these same hands, right? There's somebody else's urine and all that stuff. I go on and wash my hand and bleach and all that stuff.
How was your face?
No, it doesn't matter. I got the job done. But I tell you what, a similar incident happened a month or so later. Right? Where this was one of the branch in the inner cities, right? Another drunk customer came in and threw up.
Oh, jeez, no, right? Listen,
my people didn't run this time. One of the ladies went in the back, got a bucket, got the bleach, got all this stuff.
You model that behavior.
They saw that in me. And I never asked them to do it because I would have very well come back out and do it again. And so by them seeing that I'm not too much of a leader to get dirty or get my hands dirty. And so I have another story. I just had a student who walked in my office 2 weeks ago. And a former, no, not a student, a former co-worker. And I've worked with this young man about 20 years ago. And he said, Mr. Davis, say, you remember me? I said, Yellow, I remember you. I used to call him Yellow. That's not his name. He said, I remember you. You remember you used to go outside and clean down the ATM. You used to have this bucket of water and clean down the ATM.
Clean the ATMs. Why?
And I used to clean down the ATM because the cleaners doesn't come until after hours. If my customers during the day come and see in a dusty, smudgy, people spill stuff on the ATM, it's reflecting my branch.
Right.
And so the level of excellence that I want to give is not there if people come and eat bears on the ATM.
And
people spill food, and he remembered that. He said, some of the things that I saw you do, I still do it now. And people would single me out and they would laugh at me. I say, because sometimes they used to laugh at me like, I dressed down in a coat suit, you're the manager, why are you outside cleaning the ATM? And I never forget, I had a manager and he said, you know what? He said, excellence. There's something about excellence, and as a leader, you demonstrate excellence. You don't tell excellence.
Wow.
You do excellence. And so this person now, 20 years later, could remember me modeling some behaviors and is doing that now in his organization as a leader.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
I think that is
so modeling is critical. You could tell people what you want to tell them all day long. Even with our kids, we tell them things, but we have to demonstrate some behaviors so they could say, you know what, do as I do and do as I say, not just as I say.
Yeah.
And as leaders, we need to be able to walk the walk and not just talk the talk.
You want an extra 10 minutes?
No, we good. I think I've said enough. That's a lot to chew on. And so...
No, but I love it. I think I don't even have anything to add to that. I believe that you demonstrated very well from that story that this is what leaders do.
Yeah,
and I just wish
sometimes you have to get your hands dirty as a leader.
Actually do that.
Jesus got his hand dirty as a leader when he washed the disciples' feet. And I'll leave that there before I start preaching. So I'm also a preacher. All right?
I tell you, okay, so, you ain't no final thoughts. We are so excited that you watched this episode number 5, I believe, of The Growth Show. And if you are a leader, please share this. Please share your thoughts. If you know a leader that can benefit from this material or this episode, please share it and let us know your thoughts. Until then, we will see you next time. And you are grow and
go.
Take care.